Most AI stores look impressive in a demo, but the moment you add real products, real users, real payments, and real data, things start breaking. So in this video, we are building an AI store that designs for production, from design system to database until payment. Secure, fast, and scalable. Technical stack we're going to use: Next.js, Drizzle ORM with Neon PostgreSQL, and native pgvector for semantic search with Google Gemini. So let's get started. Let's design the user interface. For that, I will use Google Stitch. Our app is web app, and I will give it this prompt: design modern high-performance full-stack e-commerce storefront for premium sports equipment with an integrated AI-powered shopping assistant. I define the layout I want: hero section, product grid and catalog, profile page, order page, and checkout page. I don't want to give more details about that. You can modify the prompt in the way you want. Let's switch to Thinking with Pro and hit enter. Within 5 minutes, our design is ready. So let's select all of them, export, MCP, set up MCP, set the client. I will select anti-gravity. Copy this configuration and give it to anti-gravity. Then anti-gravity will recognize our project inside Stitch. And the configuration is ready. Let's give it this prompt: using Next.js and Tailwind CSS, create the same design system and recognize design MD well before you get started. By the way, if you are not satisfied with this design, you can modify it in the way you want. All you need to do is click on any page you want, double-click, then you can modify any section. Change the colors, edit text, or regenerate it again with AI. Now here is our project ID, and I really recommend you to use Stitch Skills to give our AI agent more skills while creating or generating any design inside Google Stitch. Just scroll down and install them. Now here is our design.md, all the colors, which anti-gravity recognized them. And here is our implementation plan: storefront home, product details, cart and slide over, secure checkout, and orders. Now the pages are ready: checkout page, orders page, product, profile. And there is everything inside components, like footer, navbar, product card, and inside the UI we have badge, button, and here is some dummy data since we don't have database for now. Let's check the user interface. Everything looks great. The hero section, product cards, product details. Let's add anything to cart. And here is our AI assistant. You can ask it anything, but for now, nothing will be work. Click on Proceed to Checkout, Continue to Destination. Here is all our information. Click on Payment. Now the user interface is ready. Let's move to the next section. I will use Claude Code. You can continue with anti-gravity, but to create the logic, I prefer to use Claude Code. Before giving it any prompt, let's ask it to check our project. Check our project and files before we get started. Now our first prompt: database semantic search architecture. Act as principal database architect. We are building production-grade sport equipment store using Next.js, Drizzle ORM, and Neon PostgreSQL. Requirements: first thing we need to do is to enable pgvector for product semantic search using Google Gemini, and especially text embedding 004. And the most important thing, relational schema for NextOS users. I will use NextOS for authentication system for users. And we need schema for products, persistent database cards, and orders. So for now, we have 4 tables. You can ask it to analyze architecture, list key trades-off, and ask it to ask you specific clarifying questions. It's optional but recommended. You might ask me, what is pgvector? Think of it like giving PostgreSQL visual and semantic brain. It transforms our products and user queries into a list of numbers called vector. So instead of matching exact letters, it calculates mathematical distance in seconds to find what the user actually needs. So let's hit enter. Since I am building logic, I really recommend you to switch the model to Opus. And here is the first skill: superpowered brainstorming. You can find it inside GitHub. It's recommended skills. Make sure to install it because it has skills for brainstorming, executing plans, and sub-agent driven development. Now here is some questions from Claude. Text embedding 004 is retired, so no longer exists. Which embedding model do we want? The recommended one is 001-768 because this fixes vector in the schema. So let's select it. Now what about search index strategy? How far do we build it now? While the first optional is recommended, hybrid RRF plus HNSW defined because it combines standard keyword search with AI semantic search. But what does that mean? Let's say we have 3 products inside our database and the user search query is, for example, my legs hurt badly after sprinting and I need something to relieve pain. How do keyword search and AI semantic search work in this case? In traditional keyword search, it will look only for exact words like legs, heart, pain, and the results will be 0 because product B's description uses words like messenger and sort, not pain or heart. But using AI semantic search, it will convert the sentence into mathematical vector to understand the meaning. So it will find the product B the most proper product for this user. That's why we will go with option 1. Now is the inventory model and oversell handling. How your store manages product like size, colors, and prevent 2 users to buy the same product at the same time. That's why we will use something called atomic decrement. What does it mean? Every size or color or price has its own stock in our database. But when an order is placed, it will subtract stock directly using single safe SQL rule, which is update where stock is more than or equal to quantity at order placement. Why it's great? Because it prevents overselling and requires 0 extra setup. But what about anonymous and logged in carts relate? It's about cart identity. How does first option work? For nullable user plus anonymous users, a single database table will store cards for everyone. And the guests or anonymous user will get anonymous cookie ID. And logged in users will get user ID. But when the guests sign in, their guest card will merge automatically into their account card. That's why I will select option 1. So let's see how Claude will implement everything. Now let's create Neon project. Create new project. Choose the closest region to your application. Create. Click on Connect. Put your connection string inside .env. And for how shoppers should sign in, you can select email password with Google Auth, but in my case, I will use only email and password without any third party. And now step 1 is ready. And now inside search.ts, especially inside DB schema, we can find here everything about embedding dimensions for semantical meaning. And now we are using Gemini embedding 001 as active embedded model. Now everything about database, schemas, tables are ready. Let's move to the next step. Now let's clear the conversation of the session. Click on Clear. Let's start a new one. The backend section, act as a senior AI system engineer, implement an AI shopping assistant using Google Gemini. Here is what we want. Checkout and cart persistence must be DB backend. And since everything is ready for pgvector inside database, provide hybrid semantic search tool that queries pgvector with relational pre-filtering. We want to filter for price, category, in stock. And provide checkout tool that calculates cart totals directly from the database with 0 hallucinated math. And prepare Stripe payment session. Let's hit enter. Now the DB backend is set. I can see here session.ts to manage anonymous or logged in users for cart. And here is service.ts for cart items, cart ID, item, subtotal sense, and shipping sense. And we have cart context, checkout success, and AI assistant widget. But we still need Stripe secret key and webhook secret. Now We are on localhost, so Stripe doesn't accept localhosts. All we need to do is temporarily using ncroc. Make sure to install it as an app, open it, and just type ncroc http 3000. Hit enter. Now we can use this public URL inside Stripe. So how we can use it? Just go to Stripe. Make sure to create your first sandbox. Here is secret key and publishable key. Copy and paste them. Now we need Stripe webhook secret. Inside developers, go to webhooks, create a new destination, your account, and here we have to select many events. So how we can know what type of events we need? Let's give screenshot to Claude. Guide me what kind of events I need inside Stripe. Now we need checkout.session.completed. Why we need it? Because if we search for it inside our app, let me search for it here, I can find it inside route.ts, inside checkout webhook route.ts. So whatever we have inside our app, we must have it exactly inside Stripe. So paste it, then select it. Continue. We need webhook endpoint. Give it any name. Now for endpoint URL, just take this public URL and paste it. Then you need to type API checkout webhook. If you don't know how to get this endpoint URL, just give a screenshot again to Claude. Guide me what should I put inside endpoint URL. As I mentioned, API checkout webhook. Now click on Create Destination. Take the signing secret and paste it inside Stripe webhook secret. Before testing, make sure to keep ncroc open. Otherwise, all the webhooks will be failed. Now let's test our application. Let's try to add anything to cart. And by the way, everything now is coming from our database because Claude seeded some data, so all the products we are seeing right now are completely from database. But as you can see, I need first to sign in. Let's create a new account, sign up, and now I can see my email. Let's try to add anything to cart. I can't see nothing inside my cart, and inside database also, I can't see nothing. So let's fix it. When I try to add anything to cart, nothing changed, the amount hasn't changed, and nothing inside database. Because here, as you can see, there is error connection terminated unexpectedly. So we can give it to Claude Code to handle it. So Claude Code will spin up the dev server and hit the API directly to see if it's a backend or front-end problem. Now here is the issue. The error is from your own server running server port 3000. Because Claude server now started on 3001, so no code issue. So let's stop the terminal. Again, npm run dev. Again, let's add anything to cart. Add it successfully. Proceed to checkout. Let's create any dummy data for now. Continue to destination. Pay with Stripe. Now here is Stripe dashboard. For card information, for testing, just write this number. Then click on Pay. But we need to check it inside Stripe. So let's refresh the page. I can see here failed. If I click on it, I can see here an error. Let's click on it. Here is the request details. We can copy it and paste it to handle this error with screenshot. And notice that inside ncroc, I've got 404. So let's hit enter and see how Claude will handle it. Now here's the problem. It's not from our app, but from ncroc. Because inside ncroc, we are using here localhost 3000, but inside my app, now I'm using 3001. So we need to fix it. Let's hit this command and give it again to ncroc. Now let's test it. We can test it inside Stripe dashboard by hitting resend. So let's hit resend. Refresh the page. Now you got 200. Okay. So now checkout.session.completed is working. And here I can see my cart items, cart, and the orders. But payment isn't handled inside database. So if anything goes wrong or the payment failed, We cannot reflect this error inside our app. That means our app now is trusting the URL success which comes from the front end, so we need to handle it. Build an idempotent webhook route handler that validates signature, logs database record to prevent race condition. So if two users tries to click or add to cart the same product and this product has only one stock, we must handle race condition. So the second request will be rejected and updates order status and decrements stock atomically. And before write code, propose your concurrency control strategy and ask me how we should handle or failed cancelled payment webhooks. And also we need to add, we need to save every payment, success or failed, inside our database and never trust URL success from the front end. Our source of truth must be the backend and database. Let's hit enter. And there is some questions. How should failed, cancelled, expired payment webhook be persisted? By payment events plus cancelled order now or payments event only no order now. The first one is the best one. Now in our case, payment succeed but stock is now insufficient. Someone else bought the last unit first. Money is already taken. What should the webhook do? The first one is the best one. Why? Because whenever the stock is insufficient, the shopper keeps their order, not cancel it, but no auto refund. The only thing will happen is decrement what stock exists. So let's go with option 1. What should API checkout confirm become? Actually, our source of truth must be Stripe or Stripe webhook. So it isn't trusting the client, but it's a second writer. So let's go with option 1, the sole writer. Webhook becomes the sole writer. Which Stripe event type should the handler process? Again, checkout.session.completed, or we can select all of them. Charge.refounded, checkout.session.expired, but we need to modify them inside Stripe dashboard. Okay, everything is done. Here is live results from Claude after testing everything in the background, and everything has 200. Okay, so in refound case, restocks what was taken exactly one. Delayed payment, unpaid, ignored, async, success, fulfills once. But we need to add these events inside Stripe. Edit destination, and here you can select again all the webhooks. One thing left, testing the pgvector. As you can see here, the names of these products. Let's say I will not use any of these names, and I will ask this AI assistant for anything else, like recommended gear for quad hypertrophy under $300. And as you can see here, we don't stock dedicated leg machinery, but the one strength item targeting quads is this product, which is dumbbells, which is especially the first one. So the pgvector recognized the first product even I didn't mention its name. Let's test another thing. For example, I am training for marathon. Here in our examples, we don't have anything about marathon. So here is, for endurance work, we carry two pieces. This product, which is Hydrocore Smart Flask, which is this one, and this one. So this is how semantic search works. What's in my cart? Actually, I have only one thing in my cart, one item. In your cart, this item. So we can ask it any question. And if I go to database, then check product embeddings. Here, our pgvector is saving everything comes from user, content hash, the model, and the product name. And here, if I type select role, content, latency ms from chat message, click on run, I can see here everything between the user and the assistant. Before a while, I asked it recommend gear for quad hypertrophy, and here was the result. So now everything is being saved inside our database, especially inside product embedding. And whenever any other user tries to ask the AI assistant about anything, everything will be pre-saved inside database. So this is how semantic search works. So we handle secure payments, semantic meanings, and we can do more and more. But the most important thing is creating the logic. Adding any feature is very easy with AI, but logic is very hard.